It's all right. We will be on in a few. And then while y'all are doing it, I'm going to be sharing it everywhere while you all are talking. So I'm looking down. I'm just sharing the video everywhere so people can see it.
Yeah, I'm also need to share it too. So
Perfection.
waiting
Here
for it
we
to
go.
pop up. There
There
we
we go.
go.
It's popped up. Ladies
Hmm.
and gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening, good afternoon. This is Ush, one of the co-hosts and CEOs of the Speakeasy. We are here live with you tonight, excited to share, to be honored to have on our platform, of course, the lovely Mrs. Andrea Braxton. You know who she is, and you know what she stands for, and she don't play no games, and that's why she is back tonight to talk to us about her story, but not just by herself. We also have with us, of course, one of the hosts that we have with us on the Speakeasy, Mrs. Sage. Y'all know as Sage the coach. She kills it on Monday nights, keeping Christianity one-on-one real in these streets. You hear me? That's what she does, and that's why we love her. And then with Mrs. Andrea, because she didn't put this story together alone, Mrs. Lori Story, the author of God Works on Tuesdays too, is here tonight with us. The author of the original story that is written by her about Mrs. Andrea Braxton. Mrs. Andrea, speak to the people. What's going on? Can you hear us, Miss Andrea?
So everybody know this right here is a new laptop. I'm old school, they have all this stuff, so I'm feeling my way through, but I got it. Just welcome everybody. Thank y'all so much for joining us on tonight. This has just been a dream, and I thank you. I thank you. I thank you, Mr. Ush. I thank the Speakeasy. I thank you, Miss Sage the coach. I want to make sure I say it. I don't want to call you by your first name. I want to call you your name. A name that's going to mean something, going to help a lot of people. Because anytime that you promote God, you have no choice but to be blessed. And I don't want to get into the preaching, but now it might just come out because it's really who I am. And so I have a story to tell. And when people see me, I don't want to just be Amaya's mom, if that makes sense. I take pride in being her mother. But there were some things that was going on with me before I even thought about her, before she even came into existence. I've had a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of things that happen, but I've always had to figure out a way to press my way through. And so that would just help me. And so that's who I am. And Miss Lloyd's story, I see before I even met her, and just the us just meeting has been a absolute delight. I just walked up to her and say, I want you to write my book. That's basically what it is. It's just, the spirit was there and everything moved, and I don't want to go too fast with that. But as far as this is my life and this is my legacy and this is what I stand for, this is what I represent. I represent power. And if you know where your source is, you can always have power. Amen, Miss Sage the coach. You got to know where your source is. And that's all I've had my whole life. People are out here looking for somebody to grab them and embrace them, and you've had the power with you your whole life, and so that's what I represent. That what God works on Tuesdays too. It's about having that power and know where that source come from, and then you start applying it, and then things around you start changing. When everybody else losing their mind, you still got yours, and you still trying to heal other people. So that's what I am. That's who I am. So please, whoever listening, don't get offended when you hear me go to places like this, because this is all I know. And I don't just say this for no show. This is real. This is who I am everywhere I go, no matter who I meet.
Right.
This is me. And
Right.
so this is why we're here. God works on Tuesday.
100% authentic. We could not ask for anything else from a powerful woman of God. Mrs. Lori Story, your presence.
Oh,
Thank you
hello.
for giving us that time. Talk to us, please. Talk to us, man. How are we doing? Talk to
Yes. As Miss, hello, I'm glad to be here. I'm getting a little dry here, but excuse me. As Miss Braxton stated, the beauty of the story for me is how Miss Braxton overcame so many things. Because as she said, her daughters story is definitely a major part of her life, but it's not the only part of her life. And Miss Braxton's story, what gives it so much beauty and so much pop is the fact that she, through her tragedy, through her pain, she overcame some things she had been struggling with her whole life.
Right.
And so we know that God can work some things out when we least expect it in some very unconditional or untraditional ways. God has a way of doing things. I got it. He dropped it into me now, that all things work together for
Yeah.
good to them
Yeah.
that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. She had this calling on her life, all of her life.
Right.
And all of these events had to happen in order for Miss Braxton to be Miss Braxton.
Right.
And so I enjoy writing just because I was able to witness
Right.
her growth, because coming in early, this was only about 2 years after Amiya was killed
Right.
when I came into the picture. So I had an opportunity to see her growth in that and to see her healing process. So it was really an awesome thing. And I thank God, and I know that I'm blessed. I know that it was only by his hand that we came together, because we didn't know each other before
Right.
I started writing.
Right.
We met each other one day, and the next day we started writing.
You know, all
So-
power.
Can I ask, how did you guys meet? I think that's kind of key, especially.
Yes. Come on, Sage.
How did you guys meet?
Right.
Okay, so I enjoyed this part. So I remember that it was December the 31st. We was going into our watch night service, and for several years, our church had been going back and forth, fellowshipping with one another. Well, I always felt like her church was too far to be going out. I'm not about to go to jail, going up there playing, trying to talk about some church. No, not tonight. So I never did go at the time that our church would go to her church. But that year, they church had visited our church. And so I remember singing on the praise team. And let me tell you guys something. When I sing on the praise team, I'm not no Holly Berry. Well, I don't know if Holly Berry can sing, so let me get this. I'm not Beyonce. Let me just be real. That Franklin woman, not her, not nowhere close.
Okay? Come on.
But when I hit the flow and it's time to worship my God who kept my mind, I'm all over that flow like I'm one of the Temptations. I was moving, I was bouncing my head. But one thing that captured this is I can't remember, Lori, if it was the first song and then the minister said something, or the second song. I can't remember. But I remember one of the
I can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you,
Your
Andrea.
sound went out.
Can't hear you.
The sound went out, friend.
She's still talking.
That's her. That's how it go. Andrea.
We can't hear you. We can't hear
Can't
you.
hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay, well, let me see.
You back?
Preacher.
Am I back?
Yeah, you back.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
All
Okay,
right.
so you when you went out, we was at you said something about the first song or the second song or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sage.
Okay. So thank you so much. So I can't remember if we had just did the first song or if it was the second song, but she was getting up to walk around to go to the bathroom, and I think she was going around the wall, maybe she got maybe middle ways, and he called her out. And he said, Sister Lori, you getting ready to write that book? Something dropped into me because I had been speaking it, thinking it, living it. Some dropped into me. And I remember picking up that mic, and I remember giving God 110%. And I remember as soon as church was over, I walked up to her and said, I want you to write my book.
Wow.
Wow.
That does something to me again and again, because that's exactly how it happened. I was headed to the restroom with my church finger up and going along the side of the wall, and the associate minister yelled out, like just like we were the only people in the church. He yelled across the whole church and called out my name, and I didn't even know he knew my name. And he asked me when was I going to write that book, and I told him I've already done that. I wrote it in 2002, and he said, I'm not talking about that book. When are you going to write that book? And it really went through me. I just kind of laughed it off and said, because I was needing to get to the restroom, I kind of laughed it off and told him, uh, okay, I'm gonna get right on it. But the truth of the matter is that morning, now again, I hadn't written a book since 2002. That very morning, my husband got up and was really riding me about writing a book.
Mm.
And I was trying to explain to him that you can't just write a book. You have to have something you want to be write about a book about. And I just hadn't been inspired. And then at the end of that watch night service, and Miss Andrea approached me, and I knew nothing about her daughter. I had never heard of Amiya Braxton.
Mm. Mm.
I had never, and I got home and told my daughter about it the next day, and my daughter she cried like, like she had just lost somebody that day. And I was like, you okay? What's going on? She said, Mom, I've been following her ever since that happened. And I've been praying for that baby. And she said, Mama, it feels like she was my daughter.
Wow.
Wow.
And now I feel like that about her too. I feel like I knew Amiya, although I didn't. I feel like she was my niece.
Wow.
See, and that's my question to you ladies. Why did we why did we strategically choose the title God Works on Tuesdays Too? Why was that chosen?
Can I read you a part of the book to explain it a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is chapter 3, 133 Tuesdays. And it says, I will never forget that Tuesday. The day started out as an average as any I had ever known, my glasses. I had a million things to do. My weekly thought of doing ab tightening exercises came and went. My hair was exactly as short, kinky, and neatly trimmed as it had been since August when I decided to rock my own hair. The change would definitely help my budget, and especially since free haircuts was one of the perks of being the wife of a barber student. I had on a vibrant autumn purple maxi dress and a comfortable one, the one I was sure to sport on one of my 2 weekly days off. The hours passed as routinely as early evening rush hour traffic, the bark of a neighbor's annoying dog, or the second grader's book bag bumping down the steps of the big yellow school bus. And then something happened. My entire universe was suddenly rocked. Without notice, the earth dropped from beneath my feet. The blanket of darkness fell over me. My brain turned a deaf ear to the steady rush of questions I was unsure I wanted to answer. By the time my mind caught up with what was happening, survival had become an unlikely hope. Life as I knew it had taken on a new identity. When I lay asleep in my bed, my 7-year-old daughter's life was ended in the driveway of my front yard. And the reason why it's called God Works on Tuesdays too, because as I said before, um, Andrea Braxton went through a lot of horrendous things as a child, as a young lady, even as a young adult. And she was married as a child. She had a child as a child. She went through rape as a child. She went through several different forms of abuse as a child. And so on this Tuesday, when her daughter's life was taken, a lot of healing needed to be done already. And then this was the worst hurt that anyone could think of her happening, added to years of hurt. And the book shows how God can work even on the worst day of her life, which was a Tuesday. God used that moment to work on Andrea Braxton. Because if it had not been for the events of October 16th, 2006, or October 4th, 2016, Andrea would not be who she is today. She would not be healed in those other areas, and we all wish that she still had her daughter here. And I know that she would trade everything to have her here. But we know that God has a way of bringing everything full circle, and we don't know all the blessings she'll get from this, but we know that she is definitely blessed. Anybody who comes in contact with her knows she is blessed. So God does work on Tuesdays too, meaning on the worst day of your life, God is working it out for your good.
This is why I invited Sage. This is why, because Sage, understanding what Mrs. Lori just said, and this is your life story, so we're gonna talk to the life storyer in a minute, if that's a word I can use, Miss Andrea. But Sage, could you piggyback off of what she just talked about? Because you know what we deal with being Christians, how people want to put us in their mentality of what they think life should be for us when we face tragedy and trials and tribulations. They don't think there should be any triumph in there. It's like we're serving this invisible person that doesn't exist when we have trials, when we have our worst day. And here she is experiencing a Tuesday, and Mrs. Story is referring to this Tuesday she experienced as making Mrs. Andrea this better person. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, when she was talking before and she was saying that before she was like, she was trying to get it out and she said, he turns it, all things work for your good. I was already thinking that in my mind. So when she said it, I kind of smirked like, yes, that's the thing. And so the thing about it is like, what stands out to me, especially in my own relationship with God, is that he is the only being, the only a human, animal, whatever, that can take bad and make it good. Like he can extract of your worst circumstances in your life. He can take the good out of that and he can make it and grow it to be something like that. I don't want to say overshadows the bad, but in a way, because we don't want to say like Amiya's death is overshadowed.
Right.
You see the bad in comparison to the good. The good is so much bigger that you find some peace even though things are not perfect. And that's why there is always hope, when it comes to God, because no matter how bad things look, he is the only one that can take that and make it good again. So that's kind of how I see it. And that's such a powerful truth that I've even had to come into the knowledge of. I mean, I've been a Christian for like 20 years, but
Right.
half of it, I didn't understand that.
Right. Right.
That stuff happens and you get upset, you get mad at God. I mean, there's been a few times that I was probably like, well, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. Like, this is
Right.
it's messed up. But you hold on. But when you really understand who you have in your corner or who corner you're in, because I'll that, I mean, it just changes your whole understanding of life. And it lets me understand, especially from her, because I mean, I've been through some things, but I've never had a child die.
Right.
Things
Right.
that I've been through and can still see the good. It's just such an inspiration to see that God is working even on that thing that seems like too big, like, oh my goodness, how do you deal with this?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm working there too. And so it's
Wow.
just give glory to God. Yeah.
And there was another part of that Tuesday too, if I may.
Yes.
There, it wasn't just that Tuesday either,
Mhm.
because we have to remember, as the Braxton family, we can't appreciate it as much as they can. But it wasn't just that Tuesday, but every Tuesday is an anniversary for them.
Yeah.
And so every
Wow.
Tuesday, I just caught a chill.
Wow.
Every Tuesday, for years, and I don't know if it still could be true, but I know for years, just from talking to Miss Braxton and talking to her family, for years, her children had to sit at a kitchen table to eat breakfast
Right.
and not have Amaya's bowl there, not have Amaya's cup there, and so every Tuesday, when that school bus pulled up, it didn't pull up for them again because Andrea didn't have her children on the bus anymore. But you
Right.
saw it go by and you had that memory. If Andrea's coming from work and that bus is riding by, she has that memory. And
Mhm.
so her Tuesdays brought back bad memories for a long time. But Miss Braxton is such an amazing young woman amazingly strong, not strong in the sense that she can do anything, because none of us are that,
Right.
but
Right.
strong in the sense that she is determined to live life
Right.
as long as she has it.
Right.
She's determined to feel every pain, and go through what she has to go through
Right.
in order to live her life. And in doing that, she enriches the lives of everybody around her.
Right. 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 Miss Andrea, as I'm looking into some of these comments, your thoughts on the title of this book with what everyone has said, 'cause this is your story. Your thoughts, Em?
So my thought was, and I had another name originally. I think it was something like, I cannot remember, but I had another name and I was going for it. Man, I was like, Lord, I want to name it this. And she said, I don't know, let me pray about it. And I said, what is that a prayer about? you know, stop trying to throw that prayer thing out there like you gonna stop me from doing what I want to do. Because sometimes that's what people be like, let me pray about it. And they really ain't gonna pray about it. They really don't, so I'm like, no, you ain't gonna do me like that. No. So, and then I started doing different things here. And it seemed like everything was happening on a Tuesday. Like I would go on a radio show, and then I'll be like talking with them, and I just started doing stuff that I had never done before, but it seemed like every time I was calling her, it was on Tuesday. And so she brought it to my mind. She said, God works on Tuesdays too. And then I was like, God works on Tuesdays too. I thought about the name. I was like, I don't know. But then when you think about it, he has already set every single thing up in motion from the day I was born to the time that I'm sitting right here. He already knew it was going to happen. And I'm the type of person, if somebody say they feel something or God is giving them something, I kind of sometimes have to, you need to be wise and look for signs, because that's how we fall into all this different kind of doctrine and all this hell and destruction, because we're so easy to be swayed. I'm not saying judge, but I'm saying look at the situation. And so when I sit back and I looked at it, I was like, okay, Lori, I think I called her. I was like, okay, Lori, God works on Tuesdays too. Okay, fine. If that's what you want, Lord.
Right.
And so that's how we got to that. But it's the absolutely truth. I wanted to reach out to some of the other victims' families to prepare them for that first Tuesday that they're going to have. I reached out to so many. And unfortunately, in Mississippi, I'm known as a troublemaker. But I'm known as a troublemaker in Mississippi in some parts, and I run my mouth too much, but they're going to see more of it because I'm going to just throw this out here. If they can't hear me, they will see me coming soon. So I tried to do that. I felt like that was my duty to do that for those parents. But unfortunately, I was not received. But that's okay, because I feel like in this struggle, I have evolved so much. And I feel like I have evolved because somebody is pulling me up to the sky. I feel like sometimes, like I remember when I came to Georgia, I had already had a job. It's like my footsteps was literally led all the way to Georgia. I didn't have to worry about a deposit in first month when somebody else put the check on that ain't never did that for nobody else. You get what I'm saying? And then I was the one in my family that came here already with a job, didn't miss not now paycheck, went off now during the pandemic. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all this stuff, and then a part of me is saying, oh my God, if you just keep on giving me praise, keep on keeping all this negative, violent energy, and just know that I did this for your purpose. I really realized that he's guided my footsteps, because now I manage an insurance store. And do y'all know what happened yesterday? The VP bought God Works on Tuesdays too yesterday while he walked up in there. My first time ever meet me in my life. And since I've been there, things have just grew around me. And it's not because I'm so great. It's because I surround myself with his energy and his love. And losing a child, being raped, being neglected by your parents, being so confused. And can we please just get into the church religion right now? Can we just get into that just for a brief second? Okay, can we just talk about that for like 2 seconds?
It's your story,
Can I
man.
say something 1 minute?
Yes.
Speaking of religion, okay, because I am a preacher, and I am a Christian, and I go to church regularly. And parts of this book, because Miss Braxton was so transparent, I was thinking, oh Lord, my pastor has to read this.
I think you was going with that.
But I couldn't. I felt like this. God knows who
Right.
Andrea is. God
Right.
knows everything she has done. And
Right.
the God that I serve is not the kind of God that is so, he's not tender like we are.
Right, right.
You can't put a fork in God and he's done. You know what I mean? It's us that's so tender we can't hear certain things.
Right.
God has heard it all. And
Right.
he knows all about Andrea, and he knows her confessions. He knows
Right.
her repentance. So who am I to hide her truth?
Right.
You know? And so, and that's the kind of way I like to live out my Christianity, as it's a relationship between me and God. Other people can be upset or offended if they want to about me being a little bit normal, you know? So this is, I feel like Andrea just really gave me her life. And
Right.
there was, like I said, she had sexcapades and all kind of stuff going on. And it wasn't easy for me to write some of it, but I was like, you know what?
Can we just stop for a second in the story? You said something, and I want people to go get this book. Number one, I'm pausing for a second. Please go get this book. God Works on Tuesdays too. It is on Amazon. There's a Kindle version. There's a hardback version. You need to get this book. I'm not going to tell the complete story on this podcast, but I want to stop for a second because she mentioned something. And this is to all three of you, but especially to Andrea in this story. When I told Miss Story this before the call started. I say, look, I was reading this book on the way to Seattle, and I'm reading this book, and I'm into it, and then this cliff came out of nowhere when Miss Andrea had to talk about when she was on her way to, I believe it was a cousin's house, grandma's house. And this dropped out of nowhere, this experience. Please talk to me about how did you all navigate through the complete story, but drop this experience of what happened to Miss Andrea on that day. It's been sitting on me since I read it, and I just want to hear from the two of
you. Andrea, you want me to do it or you?
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go over it to make sure I get my verbiage right. Okay, you know I got to have my verbiage right. You go over it, and then I'll recap on it. So I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing because there's something else too. Okay.
I'm just gonna read from the book when I do it. I'm not gonna talk.
That's fine. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Right there. But she was young. Yes.
Do you want to talk, Andrea?
You can read it and then I elaborate.
Okay, I'll around a little bit, but I was happy. I was happy Samantha had called. She asked me to go to the candy store with her. Glad to get away from grandma's nagging. I gathered the change I had saved and shoved it into the pocket of my denim shorts. Over to the projects I went. Catching up with Samantha was the perfect way to start my summer vacation. I wish my friend had hurried doing whatever it was she was doing. Finally, I heard Samantha calling from her bedroom. Dre, come on back. I'm putting on my shoes. I headed to Samantha's bedroom, hoping it might rush her along. Grandma didn't allow 11-year-olds to run.
You're muted. Laura, you're muted. Miss Story, you're muted. Okay.
I had never gone to Samantha's bedroom before. I wasn't sure which door was her bedroom door. Somebody closed the door behind me. Nervous and increasingly fearful, I asked, "Where's Samantha?" Bo groped himself, drawing my attention to his genitals. He announced as if he was gonna present a grand prize. "Girl, you gonna get this here." All at once, I knew exactly what was going on. I knew what was gonna happen to me. I screamed as loud as I could. I pled with them, "Please, please don't do this to me." Lester ripped off my red polka dot tank top while Bo tore my shorts in half. Bo grabbed me. I struggled to unwrap myself, but his grip was tight. Lester and Sean held my hands as I thrashed about to free myself. I fought hard, but to no avail. The boys repositioned themselves periodically, each taking his turn with me. Lester forced himself inside me. I closed my eyes while attempting to scream louder. Each of the boys had their round with me. I prayed it would be over soon. Sean's hand covered my mouth, and by that time it was obvious fighting was pointless. I couldn't break away. I couldn't make them stop. And I don't know what I hoped to accomplish, but I sank my teeth into Sean. I think I bit his hand. Maybe when I wiggled out of his grip, I chomped down on his arm. All I know is Sean became angry. He hit me, knocking me dizzy. And when the nasty boys finished their dirty deed, nothing was said or done. As casually as flushing the toilet, when you've dumped your load, the boys simply pulled up their pants, zipped, and moved away from me.
So let me tell y'all something. Hearing that story and where I used to be, I normally would just be like all over the place. But I can stand here and tell you now, I really don't feel any type of way about that. Because telling Lori, I was kind of straightforward. I've been straightforward about a lot of stuff. I'm just a straight shooter, and to me, I just don't feel no type of way about it. But I guess that what comes with graduation. I don't necessarily have a whole lot of tears about that because again, I had a moment in my life that was bigger than that. And so that just got me geared up. But the saddest thing about it was to come home and tell your grandmother and your uncle is a cop.
Yes. Yes.
I get more angry about that than I actually do about the actual act. Because as you see, I really didn't have I really wasn't even mad about that. That's over, that's done. God would deal with that. He would judge that. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't control, because I didn't really I knew of them, but I really didn't have no direct connection. But I had one to my grandmother and my uncle. And then to have my father get a phone call, he comes to discipline and drove a good 30 minutes to do it. You drive me down there, you drop me off every holiday, every Christmas, everything. You drop me off down there and you leave me for the whole summer. But when I really need my family, that's when you make the effort to come and see me. And for a long time, I resented my daddy. For a long time, I hated him. And as far as I could be concerned, he could have literally at one point burned in hell for all I cared. And so that's where the first marriage came from, an escape plan. So much stuff was going on in my life. I have literally been tormented, just emotionally by people. People that's supposed to hold you down and have your back emotionally tormented me. And if you guys would, I would like to talk about from the relationship aspect, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be said and addressed as well. I'm here to tell my truth, and the truth is the truth. I have been so tormented throughout my life, and it caused me to make really bad and stupid choices. And you know what I told Lori? I said that was me. Some of the stuff that I got into is my fault. like being pregnant at a young age. My fault. It's not necessarily because, and I have always felt like that, because I feel like when you know to do good stuff and you slip around and do bad stuff, and you know that you got to sneak and you hide and you doing stuff and you lying, you kind of know that that is bad. You know it's wrong. And I was brought up in church my whole life, not by my mother and my father. My cousin got me to a church. I joined it and I stayed there until I got married and went somewhere else the second time. So it's not like I haven't been getting the word. It's just I made bad, poor decisions. And I think that at some point we can be victim. I am a victim of a lot of stuff. But trust me, a lot of the stuff I did willingly. And the repercussions was I made my life harder in some aspects. And so I just want to stop and tell any young girl who's watching right now, love yourself. Don't look for somebody else to love you, because it's not going to happen. Nobody can love you the way you can love you. And so, and if you're in a bad abusive home, mom, father abuse, you need to tell somebody, because it is going to make you be in a very bad place when you're 45 years old and you're trying to figure out how to get everything together. And so I just want to warn you and alert you of that. Love yourself and be your own boss. But so I went from relationship. I'm married to a man at 15 years old who's a pedophile, and then I had a baby with a pedophile, and then the pedophile was gone. But even when I was married to the pedophile, people still talked about me. You see what I'm saying? So my whole life, and then he would do things, and my father told him, well, you need to take care of her. How do I take care of her? If you have to, you might have to whoop that ass. That's my father telling my husband that. And I'm only 15 years old. Don't know anything about anything. So my whole life, I've just been put in situations, and when I asked for help, nobody would never believe me. So you know what I started doing? I stopped talking and I started planning. And I was planning my way right into misery. And that's what I did. It was awful. It was horrible. My father for a long time was horrible. And I'm open with it. My family knows it. I made them aware. He was horrible. And then you have my auntie's boyfriend at the time. He decided that he liked what he saw too. But I couldn't go and tell them, because what I'm going to tell them for? That's the same house I told about the dudes up the street. You ain't do nothing to them. Matter of fact, I got a beating for it. So you mean to tell me that you think I'm finna open my mouth and tell you what he did? No, because you're not gonna believe me either. That means that I'm gonna get another beating from daddy, and then y'all gonna start jumping on me because you already treat me like you don't like me. So that went on for about 2 or 3 years. Luckily, I never even got pregnant. I never got pregnant, thank God. But that's how often that it was, and I couldn't tell nobody. But you know what? After summer break, after we went back to church, now you got to worry about the organist putting his hands on your leg. All the time. I've been at war all the time. But just one day, when people think that I should have flipped, I mellowed out. Just one day, it's just gone. Just gone. Anxiety, I was suicidal about 3 weeks before Maya died. I tried to OD. I went in the bathroom. I was just such a mess because all of this emotional, just on top of it. And on October the 4th, 2016, I don't know. I just thank Jesus because I can't explain it. Just everything just in my life, just But you know what? The problems didn't stop coming just because he took Amiya.
Right.
My life didn't get easier just because he took her, because now I had to take on another battle because I'm still fighting for justice. And now I have so many people that actually follow me, who actually look on my page, who send me messages, and they're saying, thank you for being so strong. I can't give up. They need me. They need me. And if I can show them a little hope of God and a little presence of love and support, then I'll suffer. I'll do it. I will do it for him. I will. I will.
Hearing that was tough because Sage, I'm asking you a question following up with what Mrs. Andrea and Mrs. Story just talked about. As you being a life coach and hearing that trauma and knowing what Black women experience continuously with trying to get through these things and having to grow up trying to be strong and to hit a wall like Mrs. Braxton did on October the 4th, like like what what would you advise a young lady dealing with that? What would you advise?
Well, unfortunately, her story is not unique at all. I've been through similar stuff myself, and this is not my platform, so I'm not going to go into that. And I've heard these stories a lot. Growing up for, a lot of women, you learn very early that you are a piece of chicken to men. Like I can't tell you how many grown men hit on me, things like that when I was a kid. So I know exactly what she's talking about. And if you don't have those other men or people around you to protect you, it is almost impossible not to fall into somebody's clutches. And it's just the truth. And so that's why you have so many women who grow up with issues and stuff that they're struggling with because of this trail of stuff that has happened to them, especially when you're young and your perception of yourself is not fully developed yet. So you don't know what to think of yourself, the type of attention and violation and uncaring reactions that you keep getting from everybody around you. It messes up the way you see yourself. And so even Andrea was saying, to young girls out there, like, don't look for other people for love and be your own boss. This is exactly what she's talking about, because you have to grow to understand who you are versus what you have been told about who you are through your experiences. And I mean, and like what you were saying, you said, Ush, about, trying to be strong. Really, you're not. Like you can even tell yourself that you're trying to be strong. Really, you're damaged, and you just still living with. You're just a living damaged person. You don't even really know what to do. A lot of the stuff goes into your subconscious mind, so you just end up, like she said, making a lot of bad decisions, and a lot of times you don't even understand why you're making those decisions. But it's the damage that is still there that is not being addressed, and it's a part of you at that point. And so for any young girls, even grown women, because you have a lot of grown women with, like Andrea is saying, that basically the death of her daughter kind of pushed her to really start healing level about a lot of stuff that she hadn't dealt with. And so you have to heal, like you have to go through the steps, you have to address these things. You have to understand, to know yourself or care about yourself enough to figure out what is really going on inside of you. It's not easy, and it really helps if you have people around you to help you and support you. But a lot of times, especially Black women, we don't even have that. You could be married, and Andrea spoke to that in her story. And a lot of women have this idea that their husband is going to be the one. Their husband is going to, and you could be married, and he just adds on to the damage that's already there.
Lord have mercy. That's what she said.
So the only thing you really can do, other than dealing with yourself, which is a part of loving yourself, is to deal with those deeper things, is exactly what Andrea has done. I'm sure Miss Lori has done. I have done, is pray and cry out to God, because he is the only one that can really, really other than that, you're just a damaged person going through life, making bad decisions because you're damaged, and it's really no break that cycle until you're healed.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Wow. Ladies, before we move on, I just want to say thank you for maneuvering us through that part. Mrs. Story, did you have anything to say on that part as well? I know you read the excerpt. When you heard Mrs. Andrea try to lay this out for you, this bridge, like what were your thoughts when she gave you
Well, the
this?
thing is too, Miss Andrea, she I don't know if we brought this up. I really hope everybody gets the book for several reasons. I hope we do get to talk about the legal end of it and
Yes.
everything. But Miss Andrea, the day, that Tuesday, was not it ended in her daughter's death, but it almost started in Andrea's death because she was suicidal that morning. She thought about taking her life that morning.
That's right.
And she was going through a lot of different things because I heard it kind of grabbed me when Andrea said that some of the things she did was her fault when she was young, and I disagree with that. Just because when you go through things like that as a child, you don't have an adult mind. You're in survival mode.
Right.
And the only thing we have to survive is love. Love is the only way we know to survive. And so we're going to reach for it everywhere we can get it.
Right.
So there's no fault in the child for
Right.
making bad mistakes, even in adulthood, because that child needs love. That's what we all crave love. We need love. We were built to need love. So when that love is not there, then we get it wherever we can. We reach, we grab. And so that morning, she was feeling so defeated that her life could have been gone a whole different way. But she got drunk and she went to sleep, and she woke up to way more than she had before.
That's right.
But it put her mind in another perspective. One thing about
And
coming close to
she's
death
trying
or
to,
having a
she's
traumatic
trying to say something. You're
having a
muted,
traumatic
Andrea.
experience, we always end up in out of that trauma. If we survive it, it
Right.
always changes our perspective on life.
Right.
And that's what I think happened. The moment all of that went on, her perspective had to change.
You had to.
A light bill is no longer a big deal to you when you lose
Right. Come
power.
on.
You know what
Come
I
on.
mean?
Come
Nobody
on.
cares about the shoes you
Right.
wearing when you've lost your child. So
Right.
her whole life was pushed that way. That's why I hope everybody comes out and just reads this book,
Right.
and really tries to get to know her story, because I think there's something in it for everybody.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
And
I
then,
have
you
a,
know,
go ahead.
and then on the well, I'll let you get to the legal part, but because I really want to talk about that if I don't talk about anything else.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question really quickly,
Let's see.
and we can hurry get to the legal part.
Yes.
But so I have a comment first and then a question for Andrea. So I understand what Miss Lori is saying, but I also understand what Andrea is saying too about when she said that like some of the stuff that she got herself into was her fault. I would say that, you know, at a certain age, especially if you're like above 5, like Andrea said, once you understand that something is wrong and you do it anyway, you are responsible for that decision. It's a big responsibility for a kid to take, but when you know it's wrong, you do it anyway. But you are still responsible as a kid. So yeah, the responsibility is there for the kid. It's very small compared to the responsibility of the parents. So yeah, you're responsible as a kid for doing things wrong that you know you shouldn't be doing. You're responsible, say you're 7, you're responsible, you at 7 for on a 7-year-old level. The responsibility is those adults that God had entrusted you with to take care of you, to protect you, to correct you when you are making bad decisions. And so when you don't have those things in place, yeah, you might hold some 7-year-old or 8-year-old, 9-year-old responsibility for your choice, because if you don't learn anything. But
Right.
the other thing is parents and the people that are responsible for bringing you into this world, what were they doing? And so it kind of leads into my question. In the book, you reveal a lot, and you even say here about your dad and you know how you feel about your parents and your husband and stuff like that. How have the people around you that you mentioned in the book responded to, you know, how did they, do you have some people upset with you about the book? Do you have some people who told you not to publish the book? So how did your family and the people that you mentioned in the book react to the book?
Sage, you own it. That was mine. You own it.
So let me tell you this. I don't care what they think. I was gonna write it anyway, and I was gonna get them to sign that little form. Why? Because you got to. Because this is the least you can do. You did nothing else. And then we're gonna tell the story, because this story's got to be told, because this is ministry and this is help to get people get delivered. And you don't want to stand in God's way on getting this done, because this book is gonna help somebody. So you want to most definitely sit down and shut up and just comply. That's the least thing. But you know what? One thing about being the black sheep, nobody really pays attention. So all this information is right there, and I don't even know, because I really don't talk to them, kind of. So can I say it like this? So as you get older, things in your life change. Your circles change. And so I'm not necessarily in that family circle like that. My father passed away this past December 29th from COVID. But before he died, I had just really saw life really just give him a hand. But my mom went through abuse from my father as well. I have seen him do some awful things to her, like for real. They was married for 27 years. And one day she just got up and walked away. And it seems like maybe 6 months later, he had the sore on his foot and it busted while he was mowing the yard. Now, I can truly say this. My father was a man that would get out and work sun up to sundown. I mean, he put that time in. You know, he would work. Like, he'll leave an 8-hour job, then he'll go and do 5 more, mowing yards, doing gardens. So whatever he could do to get that money, that's what he would do. So he would work. But then some kind of way, the gambling started. And then I know y'all remember seeing the card games. You know how everybody.
I love the card games part. That's my favorite. You ain't supposed to be looking at them card games.
I tell you what, I learned how to play and love playing spade. Now I play with my aunties on my dad, well, my auntie on my dad's side. And so I get with her and my brother and a friend or something, and we'll play cards. And my husband will play with us every now and then. But so I watch her get abused and I watch her be tormented. But I also kind of saw my mom in some other kind of areas too. Maybe saw some stuff that I wasn't supposed to see, you know, and so I was looking at that, and then I was put in the situation because of that by my dad, and so I was caught in the middle, and I just knew so much about everybody. So it's like I was their secret keeper, you know, for a long time. So I even had to deal with that.
Wow.
And so it was just so much stuff going on. But I watched my mom get abused. I watched her get neglected. And so what she decided to do is she decided to bury herself into her work. And she didn't deal with it. I didn't learn how to necessarily cook. I didn't learn how to necessarily clean the house. I didn't learn how to be a wife or a mom from my mom. And I'm sorry to say that, but I don't actually just feel like I learned 100% like that from her. What I did learn from her was, though, one thing I did learn from my mom is one of these kind of people where she don't hold no grudges, and she's just so easygoing and a big old heart. That's how my mom is. And that's what I got from my mom. Ethically, as far as homemaker, and no, I didn't get that from mom. I did not. Sorry for some of y'all gonna put it, because she talked about her mom. Well, didn't get it from, okay, I'm real. Didn't come from her. What made me be a homemaker is when my daddy told me that he bet every time he comes to my house, it's gonna be filthy. He bet that I ain't gonna know how to cook. He bet that I ain't gonna have no job. He bet I'm gonna be lazy and nothing. That's what my dad told me. I heard that many a days. So I heard that, but I bet you one thing. I bet you get in the kitchen with me. I bet you I can show you some things. I bet you I'm still making stuff from scratch that people putting in cans and getting out of cans. You know what I'm saying? I bet you that I can get in here and I can manage this household and run it to the fullest and know where every bill needs to be and all that. Bet you I can do that. So you know what I'm saying? So just learn all that negative yin yang that people be talking about me and have been doing throughout the years. It just seemed like to me that cause I just some kind of way just rose up. You get what I'm saying? And so, I'm still trying to get things together, and I have not arrived yet, because, like I said, I'm in a battle for my life right now, and I'm going to continue to fight that battle. However, it's time for people to get on the Jesus train. Can I just say that?
Amen.
Let me bring just a little Jesus to your life. You ain't got to be judged. And I just want to say this. I went to a church faithfully, okay? And I tried to dedicate everything like a total 100%, okay? But sometimes you be so unfulfilled sometimes because everybody's not on your page, and then you try to get with people, and then you try to sit in this setting because people say you have to all the time to get what you need. Well, when COVID happened and how everybody was split up and they couldn't go and get in any groups no more, I was like, spiritually, something hit me and says, now everybody's on a level playing field.
Come on.
So we're all on a level playing field. You can't say who this over here because they ain't going to church because right now you're behind not in there either. So are you worshiping and trying to get a hold to it? Are you trying to change something? So during the whole COVID thing, I really took the opportunity to dig deeper into the word. And I'm not going to preach y'all long, but I really took the opportunity to dig into the word, even dealing with my marriage. Dealing with my marriage for 20 years. I know y'all saw in the book when he came in and he gave me the prenup right before we got married.
Yes.
And his brother was there. I'm still with him right now. I still try my very best to be a good wife to Mr. Braxton. It is required of me because I believe. Now, am I telling people before we get, I'm not telling anybody that buys this book to read this book to stay in any kind of abuse. That is not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you that it's a battle and it's your battle. If you choose to stay there and say that you're going to make it work, then you have to do the necessary requirements in order to do that. Right. If you're going to say not going to deal and I'm out, then man up, woman up, get out. It's just that simple. So I don't condone any woman staying in any abusive relationship. I don't condone that. But if you choose to stay, you got to take them punches and you got to bite these bullets and you got to humble yourself if you choose to stay. And beware of these people that's telling you that there's not a certain order that is not correct and it's not scriptural and it's not right. There's a whole order that we have in the household. And I want to get my household, me and my husband's desire is to get our household into the perfect structure, because when everything flows down, it keeps on flowing until it runs out the ground. And that's how water starts. It starts with a little thing and then it just starts flowing. And if you're not careful, it'll break down some dams and it'll flood a whole city. That's what water does. So if we could just get that part, and there's a lot of stuff that, we can't talk, I'm not gonna get to everything, but this is one thing that I learned, even in my personal house, it's been tough. It's been tough being in the marriage. If y'all read the book, y'all know everything that I've been through or whatever, and how I did it. But I realized that every time that I was quiet and did what I was supposed to do, I realized that over here, God is opening up the door. Right. So all the stuff that I didn't have to necessarily go through the middleman for a whole lot of stuff, because I'm serving and doing what I'm supposed to do, and he's making these people out here in the streets bless me.
Right. So taking that from, and thank you for that, reminding us of who we should be serving and how to line up our households when we're going through things such as what you're dealing with or anything in life, because I want to end on the legal aspect of it. Because I want people to read this book, and we can talk about this all night. I want to end with the legal aspect of it for a reason, because out of all that happened leading up to Amiya, and you meeting all these different people and being on all these stages, ministering and telling your testimony and your story and the hashtags and everything, here comes the legal aspect of what you had to deal with. And I want to start with Miss Story on the legal aspect of what we saw in this book, that you gained strength from all the stuff you went through. Here you are. Story, please talk about that.
Now, as is forestated, Andrea, um, her voice has come from having to stand up and fight the legal system in Mississippi. The voice that she never had to use before, it derived from this. And Nathan's Law is what Ms. Braxton has been standing behind and trying to get in motion, getting that law to work. That's basically what it is, trying to get Nathan's Law to work. And Nathan's Law is an amendment to a Mississippi code from 1972 about school buses, passing school buses. And there's 2 points it serves as, and one is to clarify the offense of a passing school bus when stopped to load or unload students. And the other purpose of it is to revise the penalty thereof. Nathan's Law made it clear, very clear, that the law required of drivers when approaching a stopped school bus that the school bus displaying all necessary signals and having all necessary precautions in place. The 2011 amendments were very precise regarding the penalties. The penalty is when a driver fails to stop 10 feet from the school bus, the driver commits an offense, which is a violation of Nathan's Law. The Nathan's Law violation is a misdemeanor. Right. If the bus has the stop sign arm out and the other arm extended, the flashing lights and all of that, and you pass or you come within 10 feet without stopping of that school bus, you automatically have committed a misdemeanor.
That's right.
And according to section 1 of section 63.3.615, Mississippi Code of 1972, subsection 2. Now, on October 4th, 2016, a crime was committed when the driver failed to stop at least 10 feet of a stopped school bus. The law stipulates that that driver is guilty of a misdemeanor automatically, not after a trial, not after trial and all of that.
Right.
Automatically,
right.
They're guilty.
Right.
Okay. Just like if you run a stop sign, you don't have to go to court before you get a ticket.
Nope.
You're automatically guilty if the officer sees you pass a stop sign.
Right.
So any person violating the provision is guilty of a misdemeanor. The first conviction of that should be a fine of not less than $350 or no more than $750, or in prison for not more than 1 year or both. That's for the misdemeanor. But then if a person is killed while this crime is committed, in the process of this misdemeanor, if a person loses their life when the driver failed to stop at least 10 feet behind the school bus, he or she commits a misdemeanor level crime then, but once someone dies from it, it becomes manslaughter, and which is defined as the killing of a human being without malice by the act, procurement, or culpable negligence of another, while such other is engaged in the perpetration of any crime or misdemeanor not amounting to a felony, or in the attempt to commit any crime or misdemeanor where such killing should be murder at common law shall be manslaughter. So automatically, because it was Amiya's death was a result of a misdemeanor crime, it automatically becomes manslaughter.
That's right.
Now, as Ms. Braxton informed us, and in the book, it'll let you know that there were two no true bills.
That's true.
Meaning that there were two different grand juries. The grand jury had two different cases where they got to hear this case, and both times they decided not to bring charges. Now, the thing about a grand jury hearing is the purpose is that it's just to decide whether to charge.
That's right.
Whether a crime had been committed, rather. On the scene, this young lady, let me explain. This young lady not only did not stop 10 feet behind the car, behind the bus, she went into the yard, came off the highway, into the front yard of Andrea Braxton, dragged her daughter's body all the way to a front of a big yellow bus.
That's right.
All the way in front of the bus, back into the highway.
Right.
Where the child was pinned. No ticket was given at that moment.
Nothing.
That is the reason it wasn't considered a misdemeanor, and they had to have a grand jury to decide if it was a crime, if a crime had occurred, because nobody gave this woman even a ticket. Although they took her to the police station from the scene.
Nothing.
Although they had to get the body, I'm sorry, Andrea, but although they had to take the body from underneath the car, nobody gave the woman a ticket.
Nothing.
So by law, there was no misdemeanor because there was no crime committed, because nobody gave her a ticket. Nobody charged her with anything initially. Manslaughter hangs on the fact that there was a misdemeanor crime already in progress.
Right.
That caused the death. Without being ticketed, without being charged, there was no misdemeanor.
Nothing.
So to this day, Andrea's family had to relocate because of how much their lives changed.
Right.
And the danger coming their way, they had to relocate to a whole nother state.
Right.
This lady went to work the next day, has been reported, and hasn't missed a beat, hadn't had any consequences as far as this goes.
None.
Not even a court date, because why would you have a court date if you never even got charged with anything?
Right. And it's just so crazy because I have 5 kids. And so I've been putting kids on buses, so, you know, I mean, that whole system. And I know even for me, you don't even have to like have kids necessarily, it just kind of gives you an inside view. But even when the bus comes and picks them up and people start passing the bus with the stuff, I mean, the bus drivers start honking at you, other cars will start honking at you like, hey, cannot pass the bus, you know? And so it's just so crazy to me that this is something that even needs to be argued that.
Thank you, Sage.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Well, it does make sense, but it's just crazy. Like, seriously, like at this point in life in America, this is common knowledge. Like I mean, there's a big red stop sign on the side of the bus that says stop. Like, so I don't know. It's just crazy. It's so crazy.
But what I'm really trying to put out there more than anything else is the fact that how I'm at a loss for the word right now, but how premeditated on the law enforcement, how intentional it had to be on law enforcement to not even give her a ticket at the scene. Right. It was set up from the beginning that she could never be charged with manslaughter.
Right.
Because there was no crime according to the law enforcement.
And I was thinking about that when you were talking, because, you know, the premise of the story revolves a lot around the DA. And so you think that, you know, you just have these attorneys who are blocking you, but the police are not the attorneys. Like, so it's not just the attorneys, and this is what makes the systemic racism so powerful.
Exactly.
Just one person. You have all these different organizations with their own little piece of power, and then it just adds up to these huge injustices, because the police not doing their part, you know, it contributed to the attorneys now not having to do their part. And so
Right.
it's really
Right.
crazy, like what you're saying. I'm pretty sure the officer on the scene did not call the DA and say, you know, we're not going to give this lady a ticket, but they didn't act the way that they should have for whatever reason, and it just trickled into this bigger injustice, and it's just so insane.
But yet the other child that it happened to, automatic arrest, and then
Oh yeah.
a misdemeanor arrest, and then they were upgraded later on without a question. With these same police officers, the same system, didn't even think twice but to arrest this other person and killed this child of a non-minority. So not only is it set up from the beginning to fail us as a system, but it's set up to protect those that don't look like us because that's a part of their system. Yet all of us have to live in this system because we were dragged from our original system over here. And people like Miss Andrea, see, here's the reason that I'm bringing up this legal aspect, and I'm glad, Miss Story, you went into detail about Nathan's Law, and Miss Sage, you commented about the systemic racism, because we don't know if we don't read Miss Andrea Braxton's story, like so many other stories that we don't know, of all the things that happened in her life that led up to this one point. That could have been the end of Miss Andrea. She could have lost it. She could have literally got out that bed, walked outside, seen what happened to her child, or went to the hospital after she got that phone call and tore that hospital up, tore everybody, could have lost it because her life was trending in a direction of you about to lose it. Because Miss Andrea, I'm pretty sure she said, if one more thing happened to me, one more thing happened to me, I can't do this anymore. And guess what? One more thing happened to her.
No, and it wasn't a small thing either.
Right. And there's so many other people's stories out there we don't read, which is why it's very powerful that Mrs. Story and Mrs. Andrea got together and wrote this story for us to understand that we can handle one more thing. You and I, when you have God on your side, because he works on Tuesdays too, you can handle one more thing. And I don't know what your one more thing looks like. I don't know what one more thing is going to drop out the sky tonight when we get off this phone. But I guarantee God has said you can handle one more thing, because if he works on Tuesdays, he works on Wednesdays. And he works on Wednesdays, honey, he works on Thursdays. And every day that we are alive shows and proves God works. And I'm so thankful, Mrs. Story, you went into the detail about Nathan's Law. Because just because man and police officers and DAs think they have the power to work for the other side, they forget God has all power in his hands. And see, he works in the things that we cannot see that become seen in the future. And they're like, how did that happen? How did Amiya get justice? We did all this stuff to make sure her justice never sees the lights of day. But God is in control. And it's tough to sometimes see that. But Mrs. Andrea has shown us through her life story that she's seen it. So, like somebody, I think Miss Story, you said earlier, the light, or Miss Andrea, you said earlier, the light bill ain't that big of a deal anymore. Or the internet bill being paid ain't that big of a deal anymore now. Because my perspective is bigger than a bill. God is working in your life to where through your daughter's unfortunate loss of your daughter, you're sharing your ministry and your testimony that you probably may never would have ventured into fully like that. But you're allowing what happened to you, even though it's tragic, you're letting that embrace the realness of who you are, that you and I and Sage and Miss Story writing the story is talking. And somebody's out there being like, gosh, I thought I wasn't going to make it through what I went through, but Miss Andrea did. I thought this was the end of my relationship with this person. And Miss Andrea said, I can hold on. I can seek God. I thought it was the end of my life when I lost my job, but she's showing me it's not the end of my life. Let me tell you, ladies, I'm going to let Miss Andrea have the last word, but let me tell you what, you all have encouraged me to know that I can handle, with the power of God, one more thing. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I don't know what it's going to feel like. but I can handle it because as Miss Story said earlier, and Miss Sage alluded to as well, the Bible says in Philippians 4, I can do all things through Christ.
Yeah.
And I mean all things who strengthens me. Miss Andrea?
Well, can I say something really quickly
Yes,
before we
Sage.
let,
Yes.
let Andrea conclude? Because I think I can easily see somebody watching this and saying, oh, but then why God didn't stop her kid from
Talk about it, Sage.
how can you give glory to God in these bad circumstances? Like sometimes when Christians do that, we come across as like delusional. Like, how can you, but God didn't stop her kid. And so I think what's important to pinpoint or to point out in all of this is that it is not about not going through anything. So many people have this idea or expectation of God that if he really loves them, they're not going to have to go through anything. Like God is not trying to rescue us from living life. Like he's the power to do with our lives what we want to do with it. Unfortunately, other people also have that same power that don't want to do the best things with it. But this responsibility he has given to us all. And it is never about not going through anything. So if your goal is like, well, I don't want to have to go through anything, then our God or Christian God or it's not for you because he's going to save you from experiencing life. But the thing about God works on Tuesdays too, and everything that everybody's been saying here is that he can help you get through it. Like, because without him, a lot of people don't get through it. A lot of people just live raggedy, messed up, disillusioned lives. They never recover. They're bitter forever. They're drunks. They're drug addicts. The list goes on. I'm sure as adults, we all know how bad it can get. But with God, you can get through. You can come out on the other side when there was really no reason for you to come out on the other side.
No reason.
There was really nothing in you holding you to the other side. So, another scripture in the Bible,
Lord.
It's like this too shall pass. It will pass and you will be okay. And a lot of people cannot say that. So there's a lot of value in that. If you want to put value in nothing bad should happen to me, it's kind of flimsy value because it can't happen anyway. But put value in the fact that you can go through something and still come out and not even be okay, but better. Like Andrea was saying, you have dealt with a lot of your trauma. You are reaching out to people.
Yes.
This is, nobody can do that but God. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yes. It's Andrea.
And I'm sorry for the preacher in me right now. But I do want to address what you said also to add to that, for anybody that feels like, well, if God was so good, then why would you be going through this? Why would you lose your daughter? For those of us who believe, for those of us who know Jesus Christ and believe in him.
Come on, Miss Story. Come on.
For one of our loved ones to leave and to be with him is not a bad thing. Yeah. Because that's our aspiration. My greatest goal is, my first greatest goal is to please God. That's what I wake up for every day. I want to please God today. And then I want to be one with him. I want to be in his kingdom with him. And so if I lose a loved one, to be absent with the body is to be present with the Lord. So we know that we can't get to be with him unless we leave here.
Right.
And I guarantee you, anybody that has gone to him, you can beg and plead with them to please come back. And they're not doing it. Right. So much better on that other side. So her loss of Amiya was heaven's gain. And Andrea is a true believer.
She is.
And she understands that. Her hole in her heart is not going anywhere. But she knows that God has an embrace for Amiya.
Right. Right.
So that's not the worst thing in the world to happen to a true believer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we talked about this before, but she will see her again. So that's another thing. And I think kind of a little bit of what you were saying is that she's not lost. She's just not here, and she will see her again. So yeah, definitely.
Miss Andrea, the floor is yours. These ladies have preached, and you are the benediction, man. Give the last words on this.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the benediction, Mr. because I know you got to go in there and do something, because I know you didn't cook tonight or something.
I got pizza, so I'm square. I got pizza.
Okay. Okay, so yes. So I just want to piggyback off of a quick point right quick. And to you guys who saying, why is she fighting? If she believes that, then why is she fighting? Because my God is also about justice. And he put laws down in order for us to follow them. And the word tell me that I got to obey all the laws of the land. And that was a law of the land. So I just want to say that, and just keep your head up out there. Just believe in yourself and allow yourself an opportunity. You are somebody. You can achieve goals beyond measure. You just gotta sometimes change your surroundings. Now, Lil Boosie is my favorite rapper, as everybody know. And he said it's the song he got called Elevation.
Okay.
And he says you gotta get around, off and around them blank, blank, blank that got you in certain situations.
Right. I know this song.
So we have to kind of reevaluate ourselves, move ourselves around, move our thought processes along, and realize that all this anxiety that you have might be the reason why you have these headaches, might be the reason why you're nauseous, might be the reason why you're dizzy, might be the reason why people getting cancer, might be the reason why they finding folks dead. We're making our own selves vulnerable to sickness and disease because we don't know how to let this go. This is how you let this go. You put your trust in something that's bigger than yourself. And every opportunity that you get to spend with that thing that's bigger than yourself, you spend it with them. You listen to that word, and you, because I didn't even know how to sleep after my dad. I stayed up 3 days straight, scared to sleep because somebody didn't spook me. But I promise you, that first night when I got in that word, and he started telling me about the dead and about being with the Lord, I repented. And then I told somebody that brought me some flowers. I said I would never turn my back on God. I don't care what the devil. Matter of fact, I gave the devil the war cry about 2 something. Then my daughter was dead about 4 something. So yes, so I made that decree. So no matter what come my way, I will never, ever, ever. I have walked away from opportunities that can make me real money because they was cussing out Jesus on the air on a radio show. I walked off. No, because they were disrespecting the only thing that got me through. Let's stop being loyal to people. Let's stop being loyal to things, and let's start being loyal to God. And when we get loyal to God, your husband will change, your children will change, your finances will change, your self-esteem will change. Realize who you are. Find out and start the gift he gave in you. And you can help people because you are responsible for your brother. You are responsible for telling that word to somebody that need their deliverance. We are responsible. We are responsible. And so if we're going through challenges in our life and we hold it on and don't give God's word out, then when we close our eyes, he's not going to let us in. Amen.
Ladies, I have dropped in the comment section people that have listened. Miss Andre has given the benediction. God works on Tuesdays too. I've dropped in the comment section the link to Amazon. Get it. We didn't go into all the detail of the book because we want you to read it. It will encourage you. I also dropped in there this song by Portia Renee. It's a really good song, good woman. If you want to know anything about Mrs. Andrea Braxton while you're reading this book, listen to this song from YouTube, Good Woman. This is the perfect description of Mrs. Andrea Braxton. I want to say, number one, thank you to Sage, the coach, our Monday night host and guest and podcast member of the Speakeasy. Thank you, ma'am, for stopping by with us. Mrs. Lori Story, I thank you so much as the author of God Works on Tuesdays too, for gracing us with your presence by coming on, talking about the book. If you look in the corner, Mrs. Story is holding a copy of what the cover looks like, so you can't miss it, so you can support what she is doing. Amazing book, amazing author, amazing life, very detailed, very has all the images you can think of. But when you read that book, you will know why Mrs. Andrea Braxton fights the fight she fights. And Miss Andrea Braxton, thank you as always. Always, I can call you my friend because you are always stopping by, always texting back, always sending encouragement. I thank God that he's placed you in all of our lives because your story is not just a story that's just out there for people to read and say, oh, that was a good story, but it's inspiring. It's uplifting. It has some serious pain, but I'm telling you, the reason that on that promo we said to joy is because if people can see you now always laughing, always smiling, always cutting the food like you did when you were playing them card games you ain't had no business watching, and trying to be Beyonce leading all the songs to everybody. You know, that's the joy that God brings, and only He can bring. And the Bible talks about the joy that He gives, the world cannot take it away. So thank you for sharing the joy He's giving you with us. Yes, ma'am, Miss H. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
got my finger up like you do in church. You put your finger up when you want to go to the
Yes.
bathroom.
Yes, ma'am, Miss H.
I just want to say, well, first thing is that the book is also very, very real, and I think it's good for women to read.
Yes.
I just want to throw
Thank
that in there. But
Thank
the
you.
last thing before we go is that Andrea will be on my show, Outside the Box, on, I believe, mid-January. Sometime you guys will see the promo for that when we get closer. So if you want to hear more about this, we're going to go a little bit deeper into some of this, because we were supposed to talk about like religion and we were, we didn't go into it, but we can go into that a little bit more on my show.
It'll be in June, right?
Said in the mid-June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So tune in for that on Outside the Box Monday nights at 8 p.m.
Yes. Come on, Sage. Miss Story, you had something. Please.
I do. Really important. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I
you're
forgot
fine.
for the remainder of this week, the book will be on sale for $5 instead of $16.99.
All right.
Paperback for $5 this week only.
Perfect. Miss Story, that is very important information. Thank you for saying that. So people, get the book. It is on sale. Get your copy, please. It's worth it. And I promise you, before you close it, you will leave inspired. It's been an amazing podcast tonight. Thank you again, all the ladies, all the viewers. Please like and share, comment your thoughts. But please, no matter what, become inspired, because God works on Tuesdays too. You all have a blessed night. Thank you.